I'm here. I'm here. I'm dead. Tech issues have defeated me. Oh no. Don't turn. Why am I a cat now? That's not fun. That's not. I'm having tech issues over here and you decided to turn me. Do you know how hard it is to fix tech issues when you've been turned into a cat? It's not easy. But hello. It's TA. Hello, Seredwin. Hello, Night Parade. Hello, Bob the Innkeeper. Hello, Tony. Good afternoon, and oh my gosh, thanks for the bee glove. I hope you're having a good time. I am. Oh my gosh, I'm having issues. I had like 20 minutes before the stream. I'm like, okay, I'll just get the camera set up now. And it didn't want to set up. It didn't want. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, that's finally done. It's not even done properly. It's like, it's just a bit better than it was. It's just decided it doesn't want to work today. And then I looked at the time, it's already 5 minutes to, and I'm then trying to open up all my apps, but then all my apps are crashing and breaking on me, and I have to open them 2 or 3 times and try to wait for each one to see if it's running properly, and it's like, no. Oh. Hello, Anthony. They're constantly fixing issues with your cat paws. Was you a cat? No! I'm trying to read without my glasses on because I'm brushing my hair. I didn't know bees wore gloves. It's not bee gloves, it's big gloves, like big gloves. Like you love me a lot, that's why you're throwing all the squishy hearts at me. Oh gosh. I've also painted a model. I painted a model. I was going to get it fully finished last night, but then I spilt my blue paint. Like, do you know contrast paints are very liquidy? Well, I tried closing it and it didn't close properly. There was a bit too much resistance, and then it flipped around in my hands and it got blue paint everywhere. It stained through my pajamas, all over my leg and my knee. It went all over my desk and it went everywhere, and then I was spending time trying to clean it up from everything, trying to make sure stuff was staying wet so it wouldn't dry into them. Oh, it's like, oh gosh, that's a good thing about contrast paints at least. If you keep things wet, they won't dry and stick to it. As soon as it dries, I think it's like a mixture of both ink-based paint and acrylic paint. So once it dries into like fibres, it's not coming out. So it's basically just trying to dislodge it all with water and stuff. And then soak it up. Oh. And that took a while to finally fix up. And it went all over my paint brushes. So then it went into the metal parts and I'm having to clean it out. And it's like potentially ruined some of my brushes. One of which was a new one. Or a newer one. And it's like, oh, the expensive brushes too. The bad brushes, they didn't even get caught by it. A bunch of my paint pots are now covered in blue paint, so I don't know which paint switched. Oh gosh. But yeah, oh, it wasn't fun last night. And then I had so much nervous energy, I just couldn't get to sleep properly. Because it's like, you know how it is. It's like when you're having to mitigate a disaster like that, it's just like causes your nervous energy to go insane. And then I'm just like, yeah, I can't sleep. I wanted to change the chalkboard text today. I thought I'd just set up my camera first. I was like, nope, it just took forever. Ugh. I'm not sure what's causing all the tech issues. I've heard Windows had an update recently. Maybe that was it. Maybe it's a Windows update that's ruining everything. Like they're adding they're overloading AI into stuff at the moment, and it's like, I don't want it. I don't use it. Oh gosh, same with Google, to be honest. There we go, Vo. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's hopefully the camera's going to work. Oops, wrong one. Wrong one. I misclicked. I misclicked. That's my blue screen one. Here we go. Glove. Yeah, you can see. But do you aware the red glove is just like ridiculously bright and it's fussy? In fact, you might have been able to see it just then. In which it's like every time my glove comes on screen, it just makes everything a little fussier, and that's the issue I was dealing with. It's because what happened is the time I put my glove just or something like super bright went on the screen, it just made the entire screen go fussy. And you can actually kind of see it, like if I look at the tank now on my screen, it kind of looks all slightly fussy. I'm going to take it away and a lot of the fussiness goes. It's like, what? Oh, but here's the arc I've been painting. I've already shown a picture on Discord of this cool arc. He's a mech boy. Yeet. That orange there, that's a reflected, painted reflection there. But yeah, here's a mech boy I was painting. I fixed some issues, like a bit of paint on his eye that went beyond his eye. I've tried repainting some of his skin a little bit with some auric flesh to make it a little nicer looking. I've also fixed some issues on the glove and there, and I've also painted the little bronzy things there. Oh gosh, there's a little bit of bronze, is that going over? It looks like a bit of bronze is going over the edge there. I need to fix. Oh, now it doesn't want to focus. Why is it unfocused? I focused for a second there. There we go. Yeah, I need to fix a little bronze on the spring there. But yeah, here he is. I was testing out a lot of different styles and ways to paint him. Like up this, I was testing just out ways to paint my L-Dog, because I'm thinking about giving him an orange and green colour scheme. I was testing out how to do for Arc Flash and how... I used Talasaur Blue for this. Talasaur Blue is a really interesting paint. Like here, it looks kind of metallic where it's painted on this bit. Hello, here. Kitty. Hello, Empress Light Bulk. How you doing? But yeah, over here, it's Talasaur Blue over metal, so you expect it to look metallic. Here, though, it's Talasaur Blue over the basic base colour. It's actually, there's barely any metal underneath it. And it's just a very... I found that if it's a very thin, just one layer of Talasaur Blue over pretty much just a flat surface, it looks metallic. But if you then do like a couple of thicker layers over like the gloves of these more detailed areas, instead just gives it more of a demonimy look. I thought it was interesting. But yeah, you can still see the issues of the blue paint going everywhere. It's like blue paint. This thing is covered in blue. It was not fun. And then it got all over my hands. I'm trying to fix stuff and I'm trying to grab hold of things to, like, you know, to try and absorb it. I'm just getting blue paint everywhere when I'm trying to do this stuff. And it's just like, no! Hello, Dr. Smilex. How you doing? Oh. But yeah. Oh, have you seen this? He found this little toilet seat there. And he thought it looked cool because it's got like a blue background on it. And he's a, you know, a deaf skull, so he likes the colour blue. Oh yeah, have you seen his gun? Yeah, this is not very well painted there. I tried doing a glowy Folkite plasma-y look and... Well, to be fair, it's very hard to paint underneath this. You know. Very hard to paint underneath it. So I just kind of gave up because it's like, you're not going to see it that much. Make it look okay-ish from one angle. I thought it looks kind of cool. It's Cupcake stalling for I know I'm showing you off for like the colour schemes and stuff. Also, I liked how I did for metal here. I tested out just doing some Mechanica silver and dry brushing some dawn stone over it. And honestly, look, was it dawnstone or so? Administratum grey, sorry. I dry brushed administratum and it honestly looked kind of like metal at that point. I've had a dry brushed, a lighter dry brush of lead belcher and silver host over it, and it just gave us this really nice metallic, like a mixture of I've had a did unknown oil, and it kind of looks like a mixture of trying to do non-metallic painting with metallic painting, and I really like the effect of it. Fingies, fingies! Big love hearts to you all, yeek! Sorry, it's very hard to get. This thing is very tall. Like, it's actually almost as tall as my knights. It's not too far off. This is, I think, the biggest model we've actually built, other than for Fellblade on stream. I've been painting a bit of it. I was testing out using different brushes. Like, most of this side is using a dry brush, painting it with Ushabti bone. Because, oh yeah, for paint scheme I want to do, for chimera parts, I'm going to try doing like this beige colour. I want to go with like these beige and browns to try and because I'm thinking about doing a planetary defense force guardsman that use this colour scheme. So I'm thinking they stole the parts from those guys. The bottom of it though, I tried using just a normal. Oh, what's that? There you go. Just a chunk of blue paint. The bottom of it though, I tried using a big, thick, you know, base painting brush. And honestly, it's really streaky and messy, at least as a single layer. So I didn't like it. I'm just going to go, I think, with a dry brush instead. Looks like it's ready for the war. I learned a technique by Eons of Battle for weapons with black base, coat, dry brush some right of a news rattling grim contrast. And a final dry brush with silver. It looks awesome. Ooh. Honestly, the most time consuming part, like individual process of painting this arc, was I based it, as you can see, using this Sandby. That's because I accidentally put it on top of where I had been using, you know, getting extra excess paint off my brush. But yeah, you can see you based him in Sandby Dust, but then other parts of it's grey, I rebased it using Mechanicus Standard Grey. And that was a time-consuming process. I'm thinking about just buying a grey contrast paint because rebasing with contrast paints is a lot quicker process than rebasing with normal paints. He came up with an idea for this. Ooh. What's your idea? Your interesting idea? Praise the Omnisire. Praise the Omnisire. No. Praise the Omnisire for Mark Canicum. And for Gork Nom Nom Messiah. I got a can of cola. Cola. Honestly though, this is an extremely daunting model to paint. There's just so much going on with it. Oh my goodness. There's not so much going on, there's so much surface to paint. Cupcon Casino robbing guests yet again. No! Did you win? How much did you win? Morcanicum, a deity of the max. Yeah! of a Copperhead's War. Although we're not in the Copperhead's War with these guys. It's Tribe Stinkbag. That's the tribe. I love the name. I love naming orc stuff, just stupid names. Like my fantasy orcs are Tribe Jankyfoot. Jankyfoot Tribe. It's amazing. And these guys are from Tribe Stinkbag. It's like, yes. Is that my Alpha Legion demon engines and vehicles are powered by Dead by Daylight's Blight Serum? I mean, that sounds like the kind of thing GW would do. Or at least back when they did not care as much about just infringing on others' rights. Oh, I need to paint that back bit too. Oh gosh, I got hair under model. But yeah, I'm thinking all of the guardsman bits on this. We'll paint in this sort of colour. But I'm thinking of going Mechanicus standard on it. These things I'm thinking of painting blue. And maybe doing a bit of a bronze trim that the blue purposely goes on top of, like the orcs have been painting it. I'm thinking about having like just blue streaks of paint all over this anyway. The corrugated metal sheets, I'm thinking of doing like a silvery colours, but then like adding Noon oil to give this really oily effect to them. For weapon again, yeah, I think we'll go with... I think I'm gonna go with a lot of black on this one. Come on, Dr. Smilex, go big or go home. Sorry, it's just like, it's just got a big gun on it and I can't help going... Now this, apparently this is much bigger than what a standard battle fortress is, by the way. I've heard a standard like I found some like stats that people had written online about how big each of the vehicles are, and maybe those stats lied to me, but apparently like the battle wagon is only like this long, so even with a death roller on, so yeah, it's nowhere near as long as this vehicle, which is slightly longer than a Baneblade, as it turns out. And in terms of height, this did break off when I was painting, but with that fully how it was before, it was almost as tall as a knight, discounting its top weapon. Apparently, like in terms of height, they only come up to not much beyond this, so this is a bit too tall. But it makes a good battle fortress. That's why I added these two weapons onto it. I got these two weapons and they just go right on. Oh wait, does it go on this way? There we go. They do go on. Okay, this one's easier to get on. Or you'd hope it would be. Ah, the gloves do not make it easy to feel where my hand is underneath it. There we go. Yeah, they go on if they pushed about. Ah, there we go. Yeet. Yeah, these are basically weapon. If it's using Battle Fortress stats, these two weapons on the side. Wait, who won 10,000? Sorry, Emperor won 10,000. Okay, I'll give add sprinkles at Emperor. I'm hoping this will work. No, that didn't work. Okay, unfortunately, all of this is still broken. That I need to like click on you. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this should work. There you go. Okay, you've got your sprinkles. That should have worked. Hi, Tail, how you doing? Okay. I've been looking at how Games Workshop paints for models. So I've been trying to like figure stuff out. So if we go to our favourite website, which won't come up because this is a bit broken at the moment. There you go. Oh look, Blood Bowl. But no. Bright light. 100 decided to do the spookiest thing right after Halloween painting. Yeah, and I got like paint everywhere. It was pretty horrifying. Xenosarmies, orcs, and it's right at the bottom because it's currently temporarily out of stock. But yeah, this is how they paint for Death School's Battle Wagon, and you look at it, it's just like, yeah, for Death Roll, it's basically just one base colour with some highlighting on and stuff. I was saying goes for a lot of this, they don't repaint the panels in different colours, they're just like, okay, this part of the vehicle's black, or you know, dark grey, this part of the vehicle's white, not white, blue. And then they do some checker patterns on it in certain areas and whatever. So it's like... Well, that's how they do it. I'm wondering if I should do a similar thing of just not painting, you know, painting the details on it. But when you actually, and it's like, look at this one, it's like, yeah, if I just paint the entire thing red and then just add a few different things. How are we feeling past spooky day? Oh, then you look at this one, and it's like, yeah, they decided just to completely go all hog into this one of painting all of the panels different. Well, not all of them, but, you know, adding a lot more detail, painting all the different panels and stuff. It looks cool, but it is also visually noisy. And same with this one here. So I'm wondering how much I want to do it like that. Or, you know, mix and match up. But it depends how I feel as we're going through this. What I'm thinking is I'm going to use this dry brush for the most part, and I'm going to go with a heavy coat of paint of Ushabti Bone. You won't even finish reading my comments, you're too busy. Cupcake explaining her many. No, I was saying how we're going to paint this. How we're feeling post spooky world. The world's still spooky to learn. Not too long until it's Christmas, Chibi. You also didn't like react at all to me saying I spilt paint everywhere. Like, it was horrible. It was horrible. I couldn't sleep last night afterwards. 27 minutes in and no painting. Hey, we're getting painting done. I showed off a model I've already painted, and I did do some painting before the stream. There we go. Take these two things off. Look, we got painting done. I painted a panel on it. Are you happy? Sucks to be you. Alan, that's just a mean thing to say. Don't make fun of my horrors. It was not a small spillage. It went literally all over my desk, all over my floor. Look at, like, even this thing underneath and on top of it. all over this thing. I've got paint pots that have paint all over them now. My brushes were made a mess of. I am not morally over what just happened to me. Okay, I'm having to be careful with the way I'm balancing this and stuff. Owl paint is not liquid. It's no. This is it's contrast paint. It's with a liquid paint. It's like spilling a speed paint everywhere. It's not this type of viscous one. Was this one. It's a very liquid one, and you can see how it went from a full bottle to nearly empty.
She says she spilled it. I wasn't around, but it looked more like the painting got to her and she rage quit.
No. It's a contrast paint. They are in the same tubs as normal paint. It's like, look at this. Oh gosh, it's too bright, you can't see. It's like, it's a very watery paint. And the bottle basically went upside down. It went through my pajamas, it went all over my knee, it went all over my hands. And because it was on my hands, it got over every surface I touched, like the door and door handle, trying to grab hold of stuff. Yeah, I paint with this thing. You know, it's this cutting board, and it's usually fine. It's just that it's because it slipped out of my hand, and then I tried catching it, and, you know, it flipped over. I also meant because it flipped over and I was trying to catch it, the bits of it just flicked all over the place as well. So it didn't really help. Like, unless I had about 30 sheets of newspaper all over my desk, all over my floor, and all over me, it wasn't going to help. On top of that, because it's a liquid, it soaked through really thick fabric to just make a mess of my knee. So yeah, it would have soaked through the newspapers right onto the surface below them. And it got over my brushes and into the metal parts. There's a potential that my brushes might be ruined. I tried cleaning them, but you can't really clean inside the metal parts, and that's the one place you don't want your paints to go. I'm purposely doing a very heavy dry brushing here because I want it basically just this colour, with only this darker shade in the recesses. I'm using this brush instead of a different brush just because it gives a nicer finish. Nah, I don't mind the cutting mat getting paint on it. But again, because it was a watery paint, it soaked through stuff, and newspaper just wasn't going to stopping it soaking through. Puffy brush is puffy. It is puffy. It's very nice to paint with. It's like using a makeup brush. Oh yeah, for this guy, I was trying to test like how quickly I can paint him, so I was mostly using this really old brush. That's a complete mess. You can see I was using it because it's still got the paints on it because it doesn't wash out from it properly. What's that? I'm going to say it's some for Guardsman. But yeah, after we've painted this, I'm going to do a full dry brush and proper dry brush, not this sort of super heavy brushing I'm doing now, with Wraithbone White all over the model, because that's the one thing I learnt here, is that when using contrast paints, you can pretty much use the same highlight colour, and in fact it's preferable to use the same highlight colour for the entire model, and then apply your contrast paints. And it would have made the process of painting this guy a lot quicker if I did that. How you doing? I'm doing okay. I'm still got a lot of nervous energy from yesterday because it went everywhere. I was worried it got onto my computer. It got all over my carpet and I obviously didn't want it staining the carpet. Got very expensive brushes. And Talisaur Blue is not the cheapest of Citadel paints. And it's the main colour of blue that I decided would look really good on my arts. Soft basing. You call it a dry brush, but you're basically doing soft painting. Yeah, I'm doing soft painting or whatever it's called. I don't know all the painting terms. At the moment, we're not doing a dry brush properly. We're using a dry brush. I'm not trying to go fully into the recesses. Or anything, or just like fully rebasing. But I do want to get like a proper layer onto it. Might have to go back over on this side again. Also just going to be careful with this model because a lot of the parts are super glued together, which feels very tough at first, but once you keep applying force to them because you're holding it. Not a term, I just made it up because I have no idea what you're doing. I know there's a term for doing this sort of thing where it's basically a heavy dry brush. I just call it a heavy dry brushing. But yeah, I didn't like using the other brush because it's just streaky and it's too easy to go too thick on the paint. And if you don't go too thick, then you're just constantly having to reload your brush. Because you're painting such a large model. No idea what colour I'm going to paint these things. I'm thinking Mechanicus. Standard. Honestly, I do prefer painting based on just, you know, learning how to do stuff myself. I have seen a couple of tutorials and a couple of people, you know, painting before, and I've been like, oh, that's a bit of an interesting way to do stuff. Or at least, oh, that's how you're meant to do them. Like, I did learn about contrast paints and how you're meant to use them. And a couple of ways how people decided to use them anyway. And contrast paints are also very similar to speed paints, so everything I've learned about speed paints kind of also applies to these things. But yeah, I like the feel of painting with this brush. Got through all the instructions on the floor. Brush painting is technically the most peaceful and relaxing painting ever. I don't know, I've heard people find airbrushing painting very relaxing too. This is a point where I kind of feel like getting I see the use of having a wet palette. Because when I'm painting normal models, I don't really feel the need for a wet palette too much. It's like sometimes when you're trying to paint a whole load of them at once, you kind of get the feel of needing one. But with a model like this, where you're constantly painting these massive long surfaces all the same colour, it suddenly starts making a lot more sense. And because I'm painting in thin layers, I can just touch the paints again afterwards. It's not going to immediately cause it to come off. The paint dries pretty quickly once it's on here. Wet palette is great for painting blends and big models. Yeah. Hi, Bad at Magic. How you doing? Can I see the whole model, please? I don't know if it fits on this camera. But trying to show the model, it's yeah, it doesn't. It's a bit too tall to fit on the camera. This is the entire thing, and then from like above, you can get like a panoramic view of it, kind of. But yeah, if you want to see the full pictures, I've got some on for Reddit. Although you might not be able to find them. If you go on the Orc subreddit, you should be able to find it there. I've also got someone for Discord. The mightiest makes rightiest of battle wagons, yeah. I think when I first posted it on Reddit, before it had been undercoated, people was just saying it's super ugly, and the people didn't like it. And they're saying too big, too ugly. But that's because it was, you know, not undercoats. It was just a mishmash of models. Some models that had been painted, some that weren't, different types of coloured plastic. And it was just a mess. But people liked it. As soon as a dry brush, if a response onto it was particularly better. But in that first thing, people were saying it's too big to be a battle wagon. It's probably a battle fortress. I'm like, I'll probably just mix and match what it's used as, depending on like how big the battle is. I don't really think there's an advantage for your model being too big. Maybe there is, but I think like all the advantages you gain from it being bigger, you gain in disadvantages as well. Today is the day you're going to stay as a cupcat. No! You can wet palette with a paper towel or sponge and parchment paper, yeah. At the moment, I'm just using my tongue. There we go. How's this looking? Wet palette's also really good if you're trying to mix paints together. It looks like it's made from sand. Yeah, it's definitely dust, I think is the... Let me look at the... Sandry, sorry.
It's probably thin enough to be played in ruins, but Gus, it's so long you could move block very effectively by just choking and firing alley.
You'll probably block very effectively just by choking and firing alley. Oh, blocking a fiery alley. Yeah, I mean, true. You're not wrong there. So yeah, it is a dust colour I'm using as a base. I think it's just a good colour to use as a base because one, I wanted to have like this beige sort of idea for the guardsman and who do you know they stole it from. And the other thing is, I think the it's a very good base colour for doing. It's good for colour. It's not too dark. It's not too bright for contrast paints. And equally, it's a very good shadowy colour. I do know, well, just a good colour for painting like green skin because the yellow doesn't look too out of place there. So if you miss a spot, it looks kind of purposeful. Okay, but maybe this model won't take as long to paint as I expected it to. I think I'm gonna try going for the Games Workshop way of just focusing on like the big old blocks areas of like, oh, it's just the same color. Oh my gosh, that gap is so huge right there. So what you want to change that unit, you gotta go all the way around the Battle Wagon. I mean, Battle Wagons are pretty massive units. It's like the £80 model for a reason. And it's because they're like, there's so much plastic within it. It's I know that if you build the Battle Wagon as big as it can be, like there's 3 different sizes of Battle Wagon. There's basically completely unupgraded Battle Wagon. And I feel like at the moment they need 3 sets of different rules for them. But you got unupgraded Battle Wagon, which is the last picture we saw of one online. And that one is the shortest one, and it's short in both length and height. And then you've got the next one, which has like the death roller on it, but it's not got its full height. And then you got the one with the hard case cannon and death roller. I think it's like with a big old killer cannon on it, rather than just the standard cannon. Okay, might need a different brush to get into here. You can paint it at different colours to suggest it is
the 3 sizes of Battle Wagon, Beak Truck, Battle Wagon and Death Roller.
Yeah, and then you've got the one with the killer cannon on it. The one with the killer cannon, hard case and death roller is both the longest and tallest version. I think it's a similar height to Fish model. I don't have one to compare, and I don't think it's that much short to be honest. I think this one is wider because these tracks on the side actually add a lot of width to it. Like, you think it's quite thin, but that's only where it's basically a chimera. Where it's got all these extra bits, it's surprisingly thick model. Meow, it's cat time. No! Cat time is order time, yeah. That's sad. Why would you do this to me? Chimera and half a width at its whitest point. Technically a little thicker because it's got these extra panels on the side. Like that thing and the other stuff. And then it's got the guns that reach out just a little bit. And then with this on it, look, it goes even wider. Although you can bring them in, so it's... Apparently, the way that you position your guns at the start of a battle in an official tournament is the way that they have to remain for the rest of the battle. You're not allowed to turn your guns anymore. Which makes sense. I know back when I was playing a lot, Cupcake is wearing red. Does that mean she's painting fast? Yes. That's why I've got my red gloves on. No, I just love the colour red. I like the colour red when I'm wearing stuff like... I like having these red tartany stuff in both my skirts and my pyjama bottoms. If I'm not wearing black, I'm wearing red. That's usually how it goes. I am trying to wear more white now, though. The Imperium will do anything other than meshing the metric system. I do find it funny because the books are mostly written by British people of different age groups and different backgrounds. And because it's British anyway, they use all the different systems. Because we do that in Britain. We often have stuff that's weighed in pounds and stuff that's weighed in kilograms. We measure some distances in kilometers and meters and centimeters, other distances in inches and feet and miles. We use a mixed system. And that's also in Warhammer. But it makes sense a lot in Warhammer because it's you're going to have a lot of different systems of measurements from having all these different planets that spent thousands of years, you know, effectively disconnected from the rest of the galaxy. Apparently, I thought that Dino, once they Slaanesh was spawned, it created a warp storm that after a long while subsided, but it was like a galaxy-wide warp storm that made it very difficult to travel. But apparently that warp storm had existed for like a very long time, and the birth of Slaanesh basically blew away the warp storm. I'm like, what? Or at least that's what I've heard. I'm like, that can't be right. Because it was the birth of Slaanesh that coincided with the Age of Strife. Maybe that's just like old lore and stuff though. Oh yeah, there is some mishmashing of vehicles here, like the different colours. I'm going to paint the Space Marine parts like ultramarine colours. I'm not sure if I want to paint from ultramarine colours or Imperial Fist colours. I want to paint from ultramarine colours just because then it will be blue and it will match my Death Skulls. Because Death Skulls the best. Because they're blue. That means they're lucky gets. We find all the best loot. Britain is weird with it. A doorway is 2 meters tall, but the average person of the same height will be 6'6". Yeah. I find it's like often when you do measure people's heights, you're either measuring it in centimeters or feet and inches.
Do both and neither at the same time and paint it in Crimson Fist's colors.
Could work. Could work, but I don't know where the Crimson Fists are right now. I like the idea that somehow they've got all these primate. I kind of don't want to give them the Black Templar ones because then I have to admit my Black Templar had losses against the Orcs. But then you've got the idea that because I've just put this random ultramarine symbol on it, I just wanted to be funny that the weather's ultramarines always seem to be everywhere. I kind of just want to do that with it and just make a joke about ultramarines are everywhere. Even in this random part of the galaxy where no one is, except some orcs and some Tyranids. And a lot of things actually, now that we think about it. You guys still measure in stones? Yeah, for a person's weight sometimes, and you sometimes might find some shopping ingredients and stuff. And like vegetables might be weighed in pounds. Although I think use of pounds like that is being a bit going away for dinosaur because it's just more confusing since our currency is also for pound, you know? It's like, what's happening with the exhaust here? Oh, I want to show it you. But look, there's an exhaust going in there, and there's an exhaust just going. It's like, what's it doing? You can tell I built this when I was like 9 or 10 or something. I had some really cool ideas, but my goodness. I was still a kid who struggled with it all. I'm kind of glad I got into Warhammer when I did, though. Like, when I was doing Warhammer and stuff, you had Golden Demon. And don't get me wrong, the competition for Golden Demon was pretty stern back then. But it's nothing compared to today. Like, even looking at, like, the kids version, like, the younger version for it, it's like, oh my gosh. The Golden Demon competition is just like now it's so Warhammer so popular. They've got so
Super
much more.
efficient torque technology. This way, instead of belching less smoke through 2 pipes, we belch more through 1.
Yeah. No, we still got 4 exhausts on this thing. Let me show you. We've got 1, 2, 3 exhausts. And, you know, all 3 pipes go into one thing, go into here. And you got 1 pipe here. And this pipe, for some reason, goes into the door. And then you got another pipe here that goes into the correct part. And then another 3 pipes here that, once again, converge into the same thing and go into the main body. So actually, we've got 8 exhaust pipes. Hi, Mercury! More smoke equals cars go faster. Yeah, the more exhausts, the better. I've heard that. Definitely heard. It's like Top Gear logic. Which is basically arc logic. I think I used to say, it's like, if Jeremy Clarkson thinks of something, then an arc would have probably thought the same thing. Because do you know when they did those things in Top Gear? Oh, I'm not a big fan of Jeremy Clarkson though anymore. But when they made all those weird... Do you know when they had those special episodes and whatever, and they made weird vehicles? Or do you know, tried redesigning and modifying the vehicles? It's like, the archiest one was always Clarkson's. And sometimes Hammond's. Although Hammond's made a lot more sense often. That makes sense. So. Oh, Top Gear is fun. Oh, it was fun. There we go. Okay, do I have all the parts painted in a beigey colour that I wanted painted in a beigey colour? Now, question is do I start dry brushing Wraithbone onto everything? Or do I rebase all the corrugated metals and stuff into Mechanica Standard? Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think. Okay, I'm thinking I want to make the metals on the side of the these. It's not corrugated. I don't know what that type of stamped metal is called.
Cupcon.
I shall eat
the wagon now, nom nom.
No, don't eat my wagon. I'm thinking about having them like in a light silvery colour, but then just throwing known oil at them to make them look just an oily mess. And then maybe blackening the edges of them to show where they've been cut. But quite roughly. Or maybe just silvering up the edges. Cuptle was hungry. No! There's no oil. It does actually. I accidentally put too heavy amount of known oil on the red here, and it looked really terrible on it, but it did look oily. I had to like literally get a knife to cut out some of it and then go over with a normal base paint to give it a nicer look. Let's see if I can actually get it looking a bit better. Yeah. It looks really oily, and once it dries, if you put too much under something, it feels like, you know, like gungy oil. Hi, Nano Fate. Oh wait, I just realised something. It's the 1st of the month. Big tonk. Big tonk. Yeah, but 1st of the month means the donk. Yeah.
Cupcake, yeah.
Oh my cupcake. Thank you Cupcake Conjuror each. Tuber for supporting 5 cupcake mages.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, cut it in half with a knife. Did you dunk it in the pot? No. Well, it wasn't quite using a knife. I actually used a file. But no, it's one of those things of the way you put some on your brush, and it, because it's a watery like substance, it soaks into the entire brush. You just don't realise how much you put on. And then I can give her another 5 gifted memberships. Yay!
Cupcake,
Oh
yeah.
my cupcake.
Big love
Thank you
hearts to you all.
Cupcake Conjuror each.
Mate.
Tuber for supporting 5
Red
cupcake
Bernie
mages.
Geeks and Noodle Man. D20 ASMR. I hope you all use your cupcake magics responsibly. Oh, there you go. So many cupcakes. So many gifted cupcakes. But I wish I had a contrast for grey now, though. That's the one thing I wish I had. I got an Apothecary White, but that's not really a good contrast, to be honest. Let me look at my paint. Let's see what I do have. Because I bought when I got back into Warhammer, I bought like just a big old box of, you know, paints and stuff. That people had a sale. Garganta Fur. Ooh, is that brown colour? Doomfire Magenta. That's a pinky colour. I don't want a pink colour though. Dawnstone, Layer, Cadian Flesh Tone. Not a big fan of that one. I like the Night Quest Star Flesh Tone. That's a very nice one. I like doing flesh. Some of the flesh tones I think are terrible for actually doing for flesh, even for ones that they're made for. But when you actually use them, well, they're good for other stuff. Like Catachin Flesh, I think is a terrible flesh tone. It just feels like whatever you're painting with it is kind of dead. But I feel like it's really good for a lot of other colours. I feel like Questar Flesh Tone mixed with Gulliman Flesh Tone is like really good for getting that same sort of colour. That feels a lot more alive. Contrast Major's Purple. Oh yeah, but because we've had these magazine what's it called? Combat Patrol magazine. It's given us a whole load of other paints. I'm not always aware of it. I accidentally bought a whole load of Black Legion contrast paints at one point. I accidentally put three into a box. I'm not actually a big fan of it. Screamer pink base. Ooh, that could have been useful. I got a lot of different pinky tones. Thunderhawk blue. Okay, I've got this really cool yellow as well. Bad moon yellow. Maybe we'll use that at some point. Oh, put this box down. And then I've got a different box full of different paints. Nastrag yellow is a very interesting colour. I found, Nastrag yellow is a really good for like, if you've got bronze or gold colours and you want to do like that, Nastrag yellow, put it over first as like your base coat. Or at least when it comes to this undercoat, if you put some Nastrag yellow down, it looks like a very nice, it looks close to getting yourself a gold or bronze metal, and it's a very good base for doing your other ones. This is what Nastrag yellow looks like over metal, and it just looks like yellow, which is fine. But for bronze here was just the standard way of me doing bronze, but for bronze on the melter gun is using Nastrag yellow and then just highlighting it a little bit with a bronze. And it looks really good in the end. I'd already painted most of the other metal colours, so didn't really have a chance to try and make it better. Contrast Black Templar, Bile Red, Gulliman Flesh Tone. Ooh, Skeleton Horde contrast. That would be good for brony colours. Not brony colours, brown colours. Light brown, that is. What's the difference between Black Legion and Black Templar? Personally, I've not found much of a difference. For one thing, I would say is that painting with Black Legion just feels like painting with any other black paint, except it's just a bit waterier. In terms, I say waterier. Because it's a bit wetter, it's easier to work with than using other black base colours. But it's a very strong... It's effectively a base colour. Like, if you paint it onto this, it will just turn it black. If you painted Contrast Black Templar, the edges of this will probably still be white. Or do you know, this light colour that they painted. That's the main difference. So the Black Templar one isn't quite as deep dark, and it doesn't quite stain everything it touches. For example, for blacks on face, I mostly just, other than for foot, I mostly just threw down a single layer of Black Templar contrast onto it. And because it was already highlighted, it looked, it's not amazing, but it gives it the effect that I wanted without covering everything up. The same goes for like at the end of a barrel. Although that does have Shyish purple in it as well, which is a very dark purple. Stop turning me into a cat! How many paints do I have? A lot of paints, like way too many. A lot of them are duplicates of one another because it's like, as I said, I bought some paints and then I got them in the Combat Patrol magazine as well. I'm just wondering. Like when it comes to all the metal colours. Maybe it will be better to just get some Mechanica standard grey on all of the parts where I do want it grey. What the heck is this face? Oh, it must be a bit of paint. Yeah, it's just a bit of dried paint, it looks like. I have 16 Citadel and 10 Army Painters. I've only got Citadel paints. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 on my desk right now. And that's not all of my paints. Not even half of them. I've got maybe over 100 paints. I have no idea. But as I said, a lot of them are duplicates. It's because of the Combat Patrol magazine. And then just me accidentally adding the 3 of the same paint to the one basket. Oh gosh, that was not fun. But yeah, I'm gonna have to, I don't have to, but I'm going to change our brushes out to something a bit smaller. You know what, we'll use one of these. Yeah, we'll use this terrible brush. You only use like 6 or 9 of them. I have so many paints, most of them 60% to 75%, meant to be used in Kairos Fate Weaver, which is super daunting. Yeah, that sounds daunting. You could do what I'm doing with this and decide just to simplify the task. Okay, that was a bit... did not stick as well as I would have liked. I think I might paint the panels, a few of the panels different colours. But I do want to try and simplify the task of painting this by just having as much of it be the same colours as possible. Because I don't want to spend all year painting this model. So I think today we're mostly just going to get the base colours done. And hopefully dry brush it as well. Not going to get all of the what I want grey, because it's like the bars and stuff on this little grot cage. It's going to be more work than it's worth trying to get them until I'm doing the details. Ours is just a very involved model. The feathers of his wing is like 8 colours once you take into account the depth of coloration set in it. Ooh. Hi, Dr. Smilex. I find big models always very daunting to paint. I think often when painting models like this is because, especially like these type of converted models, it's generally a good idea to have a sort of, you know, terrible brush that you just use to just throw down a lot of base colour at once. But you don't mind getting a bit damaged by having to go over some rough edges. and being used improperly. That's another good thing about using the dry brushes, is it generally doesn't matter too much. I'm not caring too much about going over edges because I can correct them a lot in post. I just don't want to have like big old streaks. I'm just repainting it again. Rest well. Bye-bye, Mercury. I hope you rest well. And bye-bye, Dr. Smilex. I hope you rest well too. Not wanting to stick with that model. Sticking to everything but... Oh, whatever. Oh gosh, there's something wrong. Yeah, I'm thinking, I can't remember what I was going to say before, what even I was speaking about. There we go, it's speaking again. Oh yeah, for areas where I like go over edges a bit, I'm thinking will just be good areas to have to, you know, just throw blue paint at it. Like for orcs, I've just been trying to paint it. And for being very messy. I feel like orcs are going a bit full circle again though. Like originally, when they conceived orcs, they didn't build everything ramshackle. And I think they did loot still, but they actually had like proper factories and tech and some standardization. And it feels like orcs are very much going the same direction again. In both lore and just the way they've got the models right now. Whereas it's like when the Orc truck release and the battle wagon, although not for Death Copters, unfortunately. They both had these kind of, you know, lots of bits. And it's the same with the Death Dread and the Killer Cans. Build them in lots of ways. There's no real standardization to it. But then you have the orcs, the newer orc models, and they feel a lot more standardized. Like for buggies, there's one way to build it. And it's even hard to kit bash them and stuff. Like there's a lot more having to file down and cut parts off to kit bash them. Honestly, not the most fun. I'm thinking for like this Space Marine part, because that's from like an impulsor. I will use a different blue color scheme using ultramarine blues. Using ultramarine blue contrast, Algar blue, and McCrag blue. The others use Talassar blue. And still Caligar blue, because that's a really nice highlight colour. How's everyone doing, though? This is definitely not perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just trying to rush out some standardized colorations. Oh gosh, it's getting caught. Something I have to be careful with these gloves. Doing okay. That starters that I ordered turned up today. Ooh. I hope you like it. I do really like the Marine Captain from that set. What are you going to do with the Tyranids in it? Are you going to keep the Tyranids? Use them as trophies? Trade them? Sell them on? I do feel like the current starter set isn't as good as the Indomitor starter set in terms of just like, you know, being a good start to an army. Probably keep them and paint them to look like High Fleet Uloboris. Oh, what's that colour scheme? Very cool name of a High Fleet. I don't care about going across the edges too much on the tracks because I'm planning to have that just look back. Yeah. If you're still having problems with a stream, reload it. Although if you're having super bad problems, you wouldn't have been able to hear that. Oh, it's already looking very messy, this model now. The models go through like multiple different things of like, first it looks kind of okay when you build it together the model, then it looks better once it's primed. Then when you start painting it, it looks terrible. And then some point after that, it starts looking decent. Especially when you're painting like I am, where you just slap. It's not slap chopping is an actual term for painting. But you're just doing the very first processes of basing in a very messy way because you don't really care if it's too messy right now. And it shouldn't add too much time with corrections later on because it shouldn't matter. Well, that broke so hard he needed to reload. Oh gosh, no! That's what I was telling people to do. When's Steam operating system coming out, by the way? I swear it was like this year or something. Thinking about looking at what Steam offers and just changing to that or something. As long as it doesn't require me to have to code my own operating system. Because honestly, at the moment, Microsoft is annoying me. Because I think a lot of my tech issues at the moment come from Microsoft the more I look into it. And one of my biggest tech issues I've ever had was just Microsoft introducing something terrible as a standard. And it was just trial and error trying to figure out what was going wrong. Oh, Erland. Hi, Erland. Sorry about that. I missed you there. How you doing? I know you usually tell people to reload, but normally I don't need to. It comes back after a second. After you send back. But that time it just didn't. Oof. If it breaks super hard, you won't even see me send back. That's often when a stream breaks for me, I often get it breaking with the issue. So I won't be able to do this much on camera because I can't put it down like that at the back. Otherwise it breaks. So I have to just hold this in a way where I'm not going to be breaking the pieces off at the top as easily. And I'm doing the underside. Yeah. Often when streams break from me, when I'm watching, I have to do a full reload because I won't even see chat properly. I also need to get a new monitor, but it's a 4K monitor. I don't know which one to go with. I don't want to go with Samsung again because apparently a lot of the issues I'm having are pretty common just among Samsung 4K monitors. It's like, do when I always have those things of saying my monitor's turning on and off? I have no idea how or where I'm going to store this model, by the way, properly. I've currently got a shelf with all my big monsters and stuff that are too big to go in my storage. Carry display cases. Thinking it can probably go in the same area as them. There we go, we're painting the tracks. It's high feet or bothers for one that hunts of the
Blue
high
tack,
feet.
store it on the ceiling. You're wasting all that unused space currently.
I was thinking about adding like some shelves that drop from the ceiling. I do want to get shelves onto my above my bed. Some display shelves up there. Preferably with like just enough room to put a knights on them. And then have another like 2 shelves above them. Imagine if I got a Thunderhawk. Isn't that like the largest model that Warhammer actually sells? Oh no, the Warlord Titan would be. Imagine I got a Warlord Titan. Where would I put that? Imagine I bought an Imperator Titan online. When I had to like do a crowdfunding, please buy me a new house just from a Warhammer. I need to buy a storage lot from a Warhammer. It's like, what, a storage lot? Like, go to IKEA? No. Do you know those storage spaces where you can rent out a room to store stuff in? Yeah, I need to buy one of those big buildings. That's just filled with storage rooms. Not just rent a room, no, buy the entire building. Oh, I should buy one of those ones that has... Do you know those office spaces? And then just turn the office spaces into Warhammer game table spaces? And then invite all my friends to play? It'll be such a blast, me playing against me, implying I have no friends to play with. Which is kind of true, to be honest. The Stormbird. Manta is the biggest. Oh, is Manta the biggest? Stormbird is the second. I thought the Thunderhawk was big. They don't sell the Manta anymore, sadly. I wish they did. Hi, SW05. What we're doing? We're painting. We're painting. I'm doing like the undersides of the tracks though, so I can't reliably turn it all upside down. A cupcake! Yay!
What the cupcat doing?
I'm not a cat!
Cupcake made.
Then for Warlord, I think. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, no, the Stormbird, I forgot about that. Yeah, that is for like one of the biggest, isn't it? That's bigger than a Thunderhawk. I forgot about the Stormbird. We are rebasing some of the parts here. It's what we're mostly doing. Put moth confirmed, exposed, revealed. No, I'm not a moth. I don't even have a moth model. I've got too much Warhammer to buy to be able to afford to spend it on another model. Like the YouTuber model. Oh gosh, this is hard. Maybe I should have painted all of the component parts and then put it together. But I didn't even know what component parts I'll be using until I put it together. Oh my gosh, this is such a messy model. I can still smell, you know, the weird smell you get out of them when you spray models. How's the under tracks doing? Honestly, sometimes it's just a lot easier to tell where I've missed or, you know, made a mess of something on the camera than in real life. But underside's not too important to paint, to be honest. I want to at least give it a semblance of someone's tried painting it. Once I've tried painting a couple of them, I'll post them on the Discord. Ooh. I think Manta is a relatively square footprint, but it's flat. The Stormbird is longer and thinner, but slightly taller. And the Warlord is about as wide as a Stormbird, but way taller. Yeah. I might be getting a Forge Road model for Christmas because my parents always want to get me like, you know, physical gift, and I'm like, I don't really have anything I want. I really trust you guys buying it for me. So I put down my favourite knight model, which is a Serestus knight with, you know, the big old laser sword. But then I found out that's temporarily out of stock, and you know how long it takes Games Workshop to stock stuff, so they might not have it ready for Christmas. So then I put down the Knight Paratheon or whatever, in case I want to spend that much money. Except that's also out of stock. So I'm like, oh, just get me a couple of Land Raiders. They're online only. They're a bit expensive. But I also decided, you know what? I noticed there, it's like one of the few Forge Road models that's not temporarily out of stock now. It's kind of Thunderhawk. I'm like, I put that on the list just in case. Because we always complain that I don't really get anything for Christmas. Because I'm a very low maintenance person. Atropos, yeah, Atropos is great, that's the one. So it's like... No idea though. I did warn them that I don't even care about the Thunderhawk that much though. And that it's a really big model that I won't really have the storage space for. But I also kind of put it down because I thought, you know, just in case, it'll be really hilarious just to have us just trying to figure out how to even stream putting together a Thunderhawk because it'll be so big. I'll have to, what's it called? I'll have to change my entire setup just so that I can like maybe like have it on the floor or something. That would be funny. Remember the times if artists could loot vehicles. I mean, most of the time it's not even to their advantage to loot vehicles. Because they have a ballistic skill on vehicles changed to ballistic skill 5 and most vehicles aren't designed for like, you know, melee. Oh, there we go. How's it looking? Yeah, I have to be very careful not to get these things supporting the weight of the entire model. Yeah, the most time-consuming part of every model painting for me is just rebasing certain colours. Or certain parts to be a better cut base colour. I think generally, like a lot of the missing parts, it doesn't matter too much because once we're actually going into a painting, we'll get a lot of those missing parts. Like where I don't cover it properly. A lot of the recesses, no oil, will just do a really good job of just filling it all in. Or any contrast paints I want to throw on them. But this is mostly for metal areas where I won't be doing much contrast painting because I just don't have an appropriate contrast paint. I want to test Gargant to fur out though. That seems like an interesting one. Oh gosh. Apropos superiority. Oh yeah, what's that for thing? Ouroboros, is that the one that eats other high fleets? I like purposely hunts and attacks them. Or is that a different one?
So I just looked up the status of the Crimson Fists. They were nearly wiped out but have since been reinforced. They are based in Tempestus.
Tempestus is in the south part of the galaxy, isn't it? It's just a weird statement to make, but you know. My guys are the entire base.
Nobody likes the Crimson Fist.
Everybody loves the Crimson Fists. They were originally meant to be a founding chapter and then replaced by the Imperial Fists. But no, they the Tempestus is down south of the galaxy, I believe, and my guys are in the northeast part of the galaxy, mostly east. And whatever that sector is, I think it actually might be Sector Sol itself. Whether Macarius, I think it's called, crusade occurred. Or near where it occurred, rather. I feel like we need more references to the Macarius Crusade and, you know, that era of history where it's a Warhammer history, that is. Because everything either seems to be in the actual 40k timeline, like, you know, post-Tyrannid attack, or Horus Heresy era, or Great Crusade era. There's like this 10,000 year gap where we rarely refer to the history within it. Now, our bars is a super old TIE fleet. There have been reports of them as far back as M35 and speculative reports from even before then. Kind of coming from the galactic northeast. Never eat shredded wheat. Oh no, galactic west, sorry. I said east, didn't I? I keep getting that wrong. No, my guys are galaxy here, Terra is there, galaxy cuts in half here. Eye of Terror is up here. My guys are kind of there. My crusade. Kind of boring part of the galaxy. Hydra attacks other high fleets. Oh, yeah. Orbors may have been in the galaxy about 10,000 years based on some damage a Titan Legion received during the Great Crusade. Ooh. That's interesting. Do you know what would be fun? If the Tyranids aren't linked to the Eldar or the Necrons or the Old Ones. Eye of Terror is off about 30 degrees from centre. It's more northwestern with Sixrix stretching to the southeast via Galactic Centre. Okay. Let's redo this then with some solid parts. So we go. Terror is here. Galactic Centre is here. Eye of Terror is around here. Ultramar Sector, I think, is here. My guys are like underneath this tread here. I think that's like how it is, if I'm remembering the map correctly. Although that's probably a bit more fair. That's probably a bit more fair than my guys are more like here. I was trying to basically look up where's the least interesting part to the galaxy, because that's like his punishment for my marshal for being a weirdo who doesn't hate everybody. But he was just... They decided the easiest way to deal with him was just to give him a promotion because he's actually a relatively good commander and fighter. Give him all the guys that are also relatively difficult people. And then just send him to some boring, uninteresting part of the galaxy where he'll inevitably fail to do much. Yeah, is that right? Yeah. So I thought that would be fun. Like, you know, it's a political way to deal with somebody. I feel like somebody's annoying you, a bunch of other people are annoying you, give them a promotion so you no longer have to deal with them, and then immediately send them somewhere where they're inevitably going to be forced to fail or get heroics. Hello, that guy over there. How you doing? I'm Cupcake Conjuror in name and profession. First name Cupcake, second name Conjuror, and I'm drinking some cola. Yeah, that's what's in that little glass. Yeah. And we're also painting. We're painting a big old archy vehicle. This is my first vehicle I've painted in literally years. And other than that one dreadnought, and even then I hadn't painted many vehicles. Partly because vehicles are very expensive models and I didn't have the money for them. And then the ones I did have, they were Dark Eldar ones. I did paint a few Guardsman ones over the years. But yeah, this is a very daunting task. There we go. Oh, nice to meet you. I was talking about the pretty girly painting. Oh! This is my battle fortress. Although it's not got its little gunny guns on. It goes here. Yay! Oh, we got little sap cannons. Although I think they're like tractor blasters originally. I think they look like good lasers. The turrets are definitely active in the galaxy, but they only turn towards us during the heresy when the Ferals beacon was overloaded and detonated in a psychic flare. Yee. Thank you. We built this thing. We built this city on rock and roll. No, we built this thing a few streams ago from some old, very terribly kit-bashed chimeras I had from when I was a kid. It was meant to be a battle wagon, but it's a bit too big to be a battle wagon. I'm sure in friendly games I could still use battle wagon stats, because a battle wagon and battle fortress stats are very similar to one another. Like a fully upgraded battle wagon, that is. Backwards Chimera will always have a place in my heart. It's mine too. I might make one eventually. Like, that is going to be well built rather than just an absolute mess. I'm thinking I'm going to make that mostly bronze. So I'm going to avoid painting that with this stuff. Oh gosh, this thing is super hard to paint. You know, this textured plaster card is a lot harder to paint than I expected it to be. You know, it probably wouldn't be the easiest thing, but my goodness. Yeah. I want to paint for composite bits for colour schemes that, you know, they should have been originally before the orcs looted them. Then I want to like archify them. Afterwards. I like painting big old bits. Oh gosh, that was way too much paint on that brush then. Can't think of a word I was wanting to say then. Oh yeah, like just throwing blue paint at them and stuff like that. Actually, maybe I should have done this bronze. It doesn't matter. I'll say anything that I decide is going to be like a darker colour afterwards. When I'm coming around to painting it, I don't mind. Then deciding to have to rebase it, because it's going to be not that long for smaller pieces. Okay, this thing I'm going to have to change how grip it, because I'm now painting the back of it. The story of Alexis Polutko and the Barbarous Thanatok is one of the most heart-wrenching tales. This is the tale of where the Feral's beacon gets destroyed and a friendship between Imperial Fist and... Oh, yeah! I've seen that. Basically, any story with a loyalist, well, any story with a loyalist of the traitor legions is always sad, but as soon as it's an Iron Warrior, you know it's going to be even sadder than normal. Because that's just... Because the loyalist Iron Warriors are the absolute chads of the Iron Warriors. Except those ones that might have cut those, what's it called, chapters? Successor chapters. That might be Iron Warriors. Some of those are absolute jerks. I'm wondering what I want to do with a big old cannon on top. And what I want to do with the hands, with the arms. I'm thinking the arms I'm also going to do this darker colour. Oh gosh. Oh wait, I need to do the guns on the side here. I like the fact that I turned these things on the side, you know, the knights. Little gun shields into portcullises. I think that's one of my favourite parts of this conversion. Oh, darn it. Knocked it off again. Barbarous left the Iron Warriors a disgrace, but died a hero in the arms of an Imperial Fist who had lost 2 brothers. His real one became, before he became a Marine, and the one he held in his arms. Oh, that's sad. Space Marines. Yeah, I'm glad they tried making Space Marines more human. I think it makes them more interesting as characters. Rather than before, where they're just kind of barbaric. Well, we've had 2 types of Marines. The first ones are like basically just criminals. Turned into superhumans. Which wasn't always the most interesting thing. You could work with it, but Games Workshop often didn't do it that well. I'm not crying, you're crying. No, I never cry. You know, I once watched... What's that thing called? A comedy film about the dog. Everyone loves it. Hilarious. Lassie. Yeet. Oh, what about Iron Giant where at the end and he dies? That's hilarious too. Oh gosh. And what's the saddest part in all of fiction? Actually, no, you get to some things and it's like saying you laugh at it, it's just like, no. I don't laugh at those things, by the way. That was a joke. I've not even watched the Lassie film. Actually, I might have when I was a kid. Hi, Nick the Salamander. What tank is that? It's a home kit bashed battle wagon / maybe battle fortress. Oh my gosh, the painting is terrible. Don't worry, it's just quick slapping on off base coats. It doesn't have to look good. It only looks good afterwards. It's after we've done the more complicated painting. It will look better. Hopefully. Oh gosh. But yeah, it's a homemade battle fortress. It was meant to be a battle wagon. Became a bit too big. Made out of 3 chimeras, a death dread. Well, 3 chimeras are the main part of it. Then you use most of the spare bits come from mech guns, like these things on the side here. Those are from some dwarf and miners, these little goblins in cages. The little goblins of the back here and here come from the mech guns kit again. That comes from the Orc Mega War Boss, and the little platform also comes from mech guns. Death Dread Arm, again, this is spare bits. Imperial Knight, spare bit. These things come from a mixture of mech guns and mega knobs. These come from a mixture of different, all sorts of parts. I don't even know where. It's just got lots of spare bits in it. Oh, and it's little grenade launchers on it come from the mega knobs. Pretty fun model. I'm gonna just wash my brush a bit, give it a bit of a rest. But how you doing, Nick the Salamander? I think you're one of the ones that just got a gifted membership, I think. There you go. I'm squeezing this brush. I'm squeezing it. Oh, welcome. Yeah, brushes. Seen better days. I am well. Off to bed soon. Ooh, I hope you sleep well. Dream of cupcakes, but don't eat them. Because they're friends, not food. I hope you're doing well. I'm glad you're doing well, sorry. Oh. I find the task of painting this daunting. The more I paint on it at the moment, the more I just feel like I'm just ruining it. I know you have to trust the process. You have to trust the process. It's a very bad process, but it will get somewhere. I mean, I trusted the process with this guy, and it came out okay. I didn't know what I was exactly doing there. I just had some guesses of how I wanted to do the different things. And it came together well enough. I'm a very messy painter though. One of the longest parts of me just painting in general is just having to make corrections. So just be careful not to put too much force on these things. I just want to get this basing done first today. Oh, it's fireworks season again. I really don't like fireworks season. All it does is just upset the animals. There we go. I don't know how people do these big projects and stuff when it comes to painting. Sorry, I was really quiet for just a while there. I don't get how people do these big projects. It's too daunting to me, painting something big like this. Or more paint. It's like I purposely tried not overcomplicating it too much. No, his head came off. The little goblin's head came off. I don't mind, but that was actually plastic glued on, so it shouldn't have come off that easily. Mustn't have been sitting on correctly. Oh gosh. Yeah, I purposely tried building it in a way that it wasn't going to be a super overcomplicated design of different things I need to paint. But still. Oh darn it, my stream died. There we go. Stream should be back. I had to paint. I can't really reach my keyboard very well when it's like this. So I have to just like try reaching under my desk. Because I've got one of those little keyboard trays that, you know, roll out from under the desk. But my chair and everything else is just in the way when I'm like this. Not as bad as it used to be. When I had this ridiculous camera set up. But still, it's not the most fun. I'm just like reaching under the desk trying to find the correct keys on the keyboard. Yeah, I think I'll paint the barrel off a gun. I think I'll try doing the main base of the gun otherwise in I think with, you know, with it not being fully painted properly, covered, it will just help in terms of, oh gosh, I don't have a tissue. I'll BRB. Sorry, my nose is a mess. I need to find a tissue. I'm back. Hi. Hi, back with chat. I was just thinking, Face, I like that 40k has inbuilt method of having interesting stories. Entire areas of the galaxy can go non-communication for years. You have no idea what would happen. Yeah. I think a lot of this is very purposeful for the way they wrote it. Initially 40k, I think, took place entirely around the Eye of Terror. And the entire premise was every so often the Eye of Terror like opens up and you can go into the area and then it closes off again. And the idea was, as a result, you can tell any sort of story within that area and all of these factions are next to one another. And the Imperium, as a result, didn't have a full control or hold in it. But back then, it was like there was this kind of idea that the Imperium otherwise has quite a strong grip outside of the Eye of Terror. That was the implication. But now that they opened it up into the entire galaxy, having that, you know, feudal system where it's struggling to control everything and know what's going on, really lets you again tell any sort of story. And it's very purposeful. It's so that you can effectively, they want you to homebrew your own chapters. They want you to make your own stories and your own campaigns. Even now, they still very much support all of that stuff. Maybe not to the same massive extent that they did originally, telling you to buy other companies' models and stuff like that. But even then, you still find White Dwarf magazines with, you know, some conversions in them that some of the people have made. If they think is cool. But yeah, the entire idea was to make this interest, and it just so happens that this is also really good for just writing with and creating books, which it took from like, when was the first book that they released? Was it the 90s? Early 90s? It was like a few years before we finally released like a proper storybook for 40k. It was Ian something author. And they're generally not that good, to be honest. I mean, I think they're still interesting to like pick up and see where they are. I mean, they're not like the most terribly written projects ever. It's just not great. Imagine if there was a Left 4 Dead kind of Ian Watson. Then Watson might have been. Yeah. I think it begins with a W. Imagine if of Left 4 Dead kind of scenario on Tau space adjacent Imperial world where Nurgle breaks through and it's up to the PDF and emissary forces to survive. I think there was already something like that. Because many of the stories take place in the Ultramar sector because that's where like Place Games Workshop likes the most at the moment. And the Tau Empire, it sits right next to it, and was a Deathbringer. I think it was Typhus, or might have even been Mortorian himself, led some sort of invasion into Tau and Macragge space. And it was like doing this massive pox blight. So yeah. No, it was, I think it was Ian Watson. It was definitely began with a W surname. Or maybe Watkins. No longer thumbnailed. Yeah. Oh god. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of interesting stories and a lot of room to do more of the stories than I think they currently have or currently do. But this is one of the reasons why I really liked enough of short stories in the codexes and stuff, because they can just pretty much be anywhere in the galaxy. And it's really interesting. At least to me personally, it's really interesting. When it comes to the more larger main stories and stuff, they generally, especially I think since Gulliman's Awakening, they've mostly stuck around the McCrag area. I think one of the reasons they do this is they kind of limited themselves to the Tau. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Tau now have, you know, that warp travel and stuff. Because if they wanted to create a story and a crusade, there's always having to create an excuse of a Tau to be there. And the same goes with like the Ultramarines. The Ultramarines being on a crusade right now and having Gulliman gives them a lot more freedom just to be anywhere. Hence like why they suddenly appeared over Baal. Even though Baal is really far away. And I think the Ultramarine chapter at the moment is like well over 1,000. I think a lot of chapters are. But the thing is, it's like with every other faction, you can make an excuse for easily of why this chapter or why this faction has appeared in this area. And then for Tau, it's like they're pretty much confined to this one section of space. The opening story of the Knights Codex shows that the older knights remember the dark days of their night world, back when they fought the great beasts, and will overlay images and stuff like Ned's. Oh, I need to read more of the codexes again. I've only got one of the actual codexes right now, and that's the current Imperial Guard one. Yeah, I think that makes it a lot more interesting. It allows them to also be an Imperial Nihilus, which the Tau would have a really hard time getting to otherwise. Oh gosh, no, that was terrible. This bush is not capable of being that accurate. Is that good enough? Maybe. This Mechanica Standard is not the easiest paint to work with. But it's fine for what we're doing. Bone Mechanicum contains memories and to an extent the spirits of prior pilots. You can stoke a fever into the night. I think that's also one of the reasons why, you know, the webway exists as it does. And like why a lot of the factions have their own ways of, you know, doing stuff. Like, you've got both Chaos and Dark Elder can just attack anywhere at any time because of either web ray or warp shenanigans. But Eldar, with their craft worlds, can just be anywhere they want to. And with web ray shenanigans, they can extend that even further. Tyranids are attacking from every part of the galaxy. The Necrons can appear anywhere, with a lot of dynasties having a lot of territory all over the place, or like past territory. So you never know where they'll next pop up. And on top of that, with just general Necron tech, they can travel to anywhere they want to. For Photon or in for Corvo. And it is interesting to me that the two newest, in fact, the Tyranids only recently got the entire thing of them attacking from every part of the galaxy. I say recently. It's a more recent addition to their lore than before. Their original lore was effectively attacking from one point, and then they expanded upon it. Then they added, I mean, it was still a very long time ago where they added the entire attacking from everywhere. But it took them a while to decide to add that. Then you had the Tau came in, and they effectively just cornered off to this one section of the galaxy. And then Photon came in, and they're once again cornered off to one section of the galaxy. Both have a little more to work with, in which apparently there are leagues outside of the core, such as the ones on Necromunda, although that's technically not a league. And on top of that, they've got super fast ships that can appear anywhere. And have a more reliable travel than even Imperial ships can. The Leviathan is attacking everywhere. The bulks of the Tyranids are still attacking from the galactic east. Yeet. The thing is you've got the law of everywhere surrounded now. The galaxy is surrounded. And I think they've also done a few things of doing like splinters of other high fleets appearing very, very far away from where the main high fleet actually is. So because Leviathan is doing that really novel idea of coming in from below, this means they can't snowball through stuff like Behemoth, but they can attack without warning. Yeet. But either way, it does give you this much. It allows Tyranids to be anywhere. And because high fleets don't necessarily need to retain the colour of, you know, the high fleet that they're connected to. Like, you can paint your high fleet whatever colour you want. And then still say at the end of it, it's here because Leviathan is here. And it just so happens that this ship is, of this group of Tyranids, is the same colour as this other high fleet. Now the same goes with the orcs, like they're just scattered all across the galaxy. And while characters like Gaskell Thraka might just appear into a suitably big battle just because he wants to join in, the rest of the galaxy effectively is... This has a little bit of GIF. Oof. Let's be careful there. But, oh yeah, all the clan, like any orc can be of any clan effectively. And any tribe can belong to any of the major clans. So effectively, orcs can be anywhere. It's just interesting that for new other stuff, the less reason they have to be in other parts of the galaxy. Like, Tyranids mostly just attacked from the east, so they didn't have much business being elsewhere. And then they had more recent law of expanding that. But I guess it's one of those things of, this is a new faction, why are they here now? Well, because they were in this one part of the galaxy that no one else really was. That's why we didn't hear from them that much before. I much prefer the idea of my models, my battles, adding to the story of a specific fleet. Realistically, I think any battles in my NIDs would be a tendril of Ouroboros. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why they've also had, you know, these splinter fleets appearing very far away from where the main fleet is, to give, you know, effectively, hey, this has happened before in canon, so it can happen in my head canon as well. And with warp shenanigans, anyone can appear anywhere, though. Including the Tau. Although the Tau are the least likely ones, since they don't really use warp travel. Until very, very recently. I'm thinking if I got Tau though, what I'd have is like to help add to my, you know, story where all of my armies are related to one another and fighting one another. The Tau are actually like going to be an exploratory force that was sent through a portal. Is some sort of wormhole or whatever is in the territory. Or opened up temporarily in the territory of where we are. And this connected to Tau space. And the Tau sent an exploratory fleet to go and check it out, but then the portal closed behind them. I'm thinking it's probably some sort of shenanigans. Which they didn't actually expect the wormhole or whatever to close. It seemed fully stable, and then it just closed. I don't like that they now have warp drives. I much prefer... Oh, do they actually have proper warp drives now? I didn't think they got given warp drives. I thought they like tested a warp thing and one group got sent really far away. Yeah, that gap is really big there. I feel like maybe something fell off when I was spraying it and I didn't notice. But there we go. That's the base paints done. Oh gosh, let me just have a little break. And then I'll get a big old brush out and dry brush Wraithbone just all over the model. But I'll be a much lighter dry brush. A proper dry brush. A shallow dive drive, for want of a better word. They have a kind of dive drive now that makes short hops of the warp. Okay. So that kind of does follow on to the same idea of, you know, their skip drives. Because originally they had a drive where they basically flew on waves of the warp, as it were. So it's like they drove on the very edges of it. Like that, I think that was the original drive they had. Yeah, I don't think that's new then. I think they might have got rid of it for a short period of time and now they brought it back. I've not really kept up with Tau lore. I've looked up too long, but... Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah, your pre-orders are up now, by the way. Oh, yeah. You want to see the new... well, not the new art. But that's a Black Reach art. Oh. Look at that look at that mountain of Marines. Oh, look at the Stomper in the background before they had a proper Stomper model, I think. Oh my gosh, the Tau. The Tau. The pod. Oh, except that one arc there. That arc is a bit, Well, yeah, the Tau do not look like they're winning this one. Look at that silly fella. Look at that silly fella. Oh, these are yellow arcs. Oh my goodness. Actually, yeah, in a lot of this art, I mean, they're very green here. But a lot of this art, they are very more yellowy than they are green. I just think the skip drive was cooler. Just being a different way, different from the others, gave it more flavour. I guess so. It's a bit like, do you know, where the Eldar use the web ray and not the warp? It gives them a bit more flavour. And how the Necrons have some weird teleportation and stuff that doesn't have connections to the warp. I think one of the reasons, though, is that they want the Tau to still feel... I don't think they like the idea that people think the Tau are more technologically advanced than the Imperium. Because they're not. They are definitely not more technologically advanced. In many regards, they are far less advanced. It's just that they better equip their soldiers. Or their standard soldiers, anyway. But this, yeah, the arcs in this, I mean, they're more green up here. And they're very green here. In some of the art, they're very yellow. Ooh, look at that. This is, I think, isn't this art for one of the games, Speed Freaks or whatever? Or is this art from the game that Speed Freaks is based on? Oh, I like this one. This is a cool one. You got the big old weird boys are kind of meh at the moment. Oh, look at Gork and Mork with the background there, though. That's such a cool. Oh my gosh, tiny head Marine. Look how tiny his head is. I mean, I never realised how small that head was. Like, if he took his helmet off, he would just like have a little pinhead. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is a classic art. Gaskell Thacker, back from his second model, I believe. That's what it's based on. War for Armageddon. Look at that Armageddon Pattern Warlord Titan there. Armageddon Steel Legion. Mega Knobs back from when they were metal as well. Oh, there's Gaskell Thacker for new model. Versus Primaris Space Wolves. Oh. I like a knife when you could upgrade the weird boys to warp heads to make them more powerful. Ooh. But I think it gave them a mortal wound blast when you miscast. That used to be kind of just how all magic worked. It worked very much like if you play Old World right now and use their magic. That's how Warhammer psychic powers used to be. Ooh, is this Kriegus? It is Kriegus. Very cool. The Death Dread is a bit bigger than the actual Death Dread model. Very much bigger. But yeah, I've also got pre-orders here. Oh look. Look, you can play American football. It's basically just rugby, hand egg. Look, see, hand, egg, hand, egg. A Batonian team here for is hilarious. I just find them so. Look at that guy doing fisticuffs. And then you've got the Tomb King one. And look at how muscular these skeletons are. He's a big boned lad, he is. Oh. Oh, there's a little cat. I didn't realise. Oh my gosh, I want to see him. I want to see the cat up close. There's two of them. There's two little kitty cats. Where are they? Where are they? Show me the kitty cat. Look, the little bony kitty cats.
I'm not fat, I'm big boned.
I thought they were like nukes then. The canoptic jars. Wait, do they have like a kitty cat? No, they don't have a kitty cat. They suck. I mean, they do have a guy doing fisticuffs. But they got kitty cat. Oh, it's adorable. I wonder if the other Blood Bowl teams have them. Spike. I'm still surprised that they have like a magazine for Blood Bowl. Is it that popular? Like a Bond Squadron. Oh, I think this was already sold out or something, wasn't it? And I kind of want to go and look at more other games. Blood Bowl. Teams. I want to find other teams. Do they have a little cat? No, you don't. I mean, if they got hands coming from the ground, that's cool, I guess. And a tiny little rat down here. Oh, I want to see the tiny rat up close. Whatever. Okay, anyone else? They don't. They got snakes. They've got little griffins. The Imperial Nobility team. Look at them little griffins. Although they're not proper. They're not actually tiny griffins. Okay, they've got something. Like they got tiny ships. Look, Norska! Norska has a team. Okay, they don't seem to have any little cool bits. The Dark Elves don't either. What about the goblins? The ogres! The ogre team! Oh, look how big those ogres are. Oh my goodness. Oh, the noblest, half of them on the floors crying. Oh my goodness. I have no idea what the tokens do in Blood Bowl. Someone more knowledgeable than me explain for kitties. You don't need to explain for kitties, goblin team. The Scrag-Grag Sniffless. Oh, that's what I love about Orcs. Look at that. Scrag-Crag Sniffless. They're sniffling for crags they are. I think they're just meant to represent the ball. But I'm not sure. Oh my gosh, these are such cool zombie models. Why do they get such cool zombie model? Oh my god, Night Lord model right here. Just green stuff over his bones to make him a marine. Oh, look at that zombie though. Oh, I want them in fantasy. Those are really cool zombie models.
Because EOS is better than 40k.
This isn't Age of Sigmar. This is Blood Bowl. This is fantasy. Wood Elves. I thought that was Amazonians then. I think they used to have an Amazonian team. Oh, they got little bugs on them. They got little bugs. Oh, I wanted to see the bugs up close. There's a halfling team. There's hobbits. Oh, look. They got a sausage on a fork. They've got pasties. They've got a pasty over here. Oh, my goodness. And look at the little bellies. Oh, my goodness. Blood Bowl isn't even Age of Sigmar. It's not technically fantasy. Yep. Blood Bowl's alternative universe of a fantasy universe. Yep. You are correct. Nurgle team. We got the little Nurglings trying to eat the ball. Oh my gosh, that's adorable. I wonder if the Blood Bowl video games are any good. I've heard mixed things about them. I once saw them. I think it was like outside Xbox decided to play them or something. And I think maybe Markiplier played one. And they seemed okay, but this like looks really fun. Snotling Blood. There's a Snotling team. The Crud Creek Nose Pickers. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. There's a Chaos Dwarf team. There's gnomes. There's a gnome team. And we got a badger. Badger, 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 mushroom, mushroom, badger, 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 mushroom. And there's a goose. There's a badger. Where's the goose? I want to see if a goose loose about this hoose. Oh, there's a fox with a ball. The goose, they're honking. They're the honkers. No, the Glimbarrow groundhogs. No, they're the honky-doos. Screw the badger.
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard, to Isengard, to Isengard. I know that's not the tune for it, I just randomly got that tune. Elven Union team. The Dwarf Giants. Oh my gosh, the gnomes. Oh my gosh, the vampire team for basically Draculas. Oh, we got little coffins. It's like very Dracula-y. Oh my goodness. Wait, who was that? I thought they were doing the Thriller dance then for some reason. Thriller. But these would be really good vampire nobles. Like in Old World or whatever. Oh goodness. Yeah. What do the gnomes even have holding the ball with them? Oh no, it's just a little gnome tree. Vo looks homeless, what do you mean? Yeah, he's like a recently turned noble. Look, we got goose. We got goose. I know that the gnomes have like something else that's kind of hilarious for them. Like Blood Bowl.
I also thought that they were doing the Thriller, either that was intentional or we are the same kind of broken. My money's on the latter.
Yes, it's true. We're both broken. Oh, look at the Rot Spawn. Deep Root Strong Branch. The Dwarf Death Roller. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is legal. This is what you need in the NFL. Make the game interesting, you know. Chaos Dwarf, Centaurs, Corn, the Soats are here. What else is there? There's a gnome tree man. A gnome tree man, look at him. A cool model. I swear there was like a really other cool gnome model at one point. Like, is it under star players? Maybe. There's some really cool models here. Oh my gosh, look at that thing. Ick. Look at that thing. Glorious Summerborn, Witcher. Now, I'd seen a while ago a really cool gnome model. The Death Roll is one of those things you are only allowed to drive drunk. I mean, true. The dwarf couldn't give us some boozy from the top rope. Oh, look at that thing. Is that rowdy roach bait? Oh, now that's a cool model. That's beautiful. Can't wait for Total War Blood Bowl. Okay, if we go over here, go to Blood Bowl, just shop all. Can I filter it down to Nurgle star players? Why does Nurgle have a other gnomes though? Miniature kit gaming experience. Ah. Where was it? Yeah, Blood Bowl was pretty cool. It's got a lot going on in here. Maybe if it was like only a limited release, a thing I'm thinking about. Or maybe I'm just misremembering it. Wait, snake people! Koresh confirmed for Total War! Not bad for wrestling. Oh. Ivor Eriksson. There's also this halfling on a ram, one-barreled sheepskin. Oh my goodness, I just got really distracted here. I was meant to be distracted for a little bit, but not too long. Oh. Count Luther von Drakenborg. Blood Bowl, Fargeist, Ivan the Death Shroud. Kraken Eye. Oh. Yeah. They put more passion in Blood Bowl, which is played by 10 people, than Total War. It's true. And Games Workshop doesn't make Total War, mind you. And neither does CA make Blood Bowl video game. Oh gosh, this Wraithbone is such a messy paint. There we go. For a second I saw Loki fell heart and my heart stopped. Why did your heart stop? Loki fell heart in Blood Bowl is what you've always wanted to learn. Oh gosh, maybe that's a bit too done then. I don't think there are many characters that are still in the main like books and lore that are in Blood Bowl. Gosh, that was a bit too thick there. Hard to tell how much is actually being picked up by the model sometimes. Doing this. There we go. Like doing makeup. When you're painting, do you ever just have to like, when you've done like a large part, just take a break and just sit back and go, oh my gosh? Because I often have to. I also don't mind getting like scratchy looking marks and I'm dry brushing onto this thing. I kind of want that. Because it's meant to be, you know, messy. And damaged. And that's all these scratchy marks will make it look. It will look like scratches. If I'm doing it correctly. It's that boss's battle wagon. Yeah, our battle fortress. It's a bit too big for the camera. Next time I'm gonna have to like figure out how to just make my camera be even higher. If I just very careful with this. There we go. It still won't fit on frame. There you go. Yeah, everyone gets in uppies. You're all getting uppies. Yeah. Sorry about the fireworks and stuff. I usually put the models somewhere I can't see from the 24 honest once I finish painting them. They're my mistakes. So I like taking pictures of them. As soon as I look at pictures of them, I see every single mistake. Especially after you post it online. It's only fun when you see every single mistake. For the moment though, we're not so far into it where any of that matters much. Oh gosh, that was a bit much. Well, there's no mistakes when it comes to this model at the moment. Just happy little accidents, as Bob Ross would say. Actually, it gives me a lot more room. I should have done this from the beginning. I'm just so used to putting it down in a certain way. It's just not the camera's not designed to be that high up, so it's not necessarily going to give the best image quality. No, I'm wondering what fireworks and what type of work. There's fireworks going off here as well. Yeah, unfortunately in the UK it's that sort of time of year again. They're celebrating her finally painting a model. No, they've been going off for days. Maybe it's ever since they just solved, you know, for... Oh my gosh, she's gonna paint a model on the schedule. Maybe that's what the trigger was. I don't even know why I'm doing the dry brush onto the metal parts. Okay, even with a simple dry brushing, it already starts looking a lot better. Even if my dry brushing method is very messy and not very good. Sometimes it gives good dry brushing, sometimes I just do what I did then and my brush wasn't dry enough. And it wasn't quite dry brushing. With onto the chimera parts, it doesn't matter too much. On our Saints' Day in Sweden, we light candles in graveyards remembering the dead. Oh. Interesting. That sounds like the kind of tradition that eventually became fireworks in other places. Do you know why in some places it's traditional to, when you're going to bury someone, you still keep the body around for a few days? It's because of the entire idea that, you know, they might come back. Because they might not actually be dead. They might be in a coma or something. You give them a few days just to make sure, you know. No, because of ghosts and ghouls. What I find funny is that a lot of, you know, basic traditions that have a lot of spiritual meaning nowadays very likely came from just, you know, more just common sense sort of practices. Especially when you look at where they originated. I find that just a very interesting thing. And you can kind of still see the same thing happen today. Often when people, teachers or whatever don't really tell people why you're doing something, just like you need to do it. The Crusades were actually a boys' weekend gone wrong. No, not really. I mean, some crusades did turn into a boys' weekend gone wrong. Or that would be a good way to describe what became of them. Actually, I missed the previous message. Exercise time. Yeah, people back then didn't care at all about spirituality. ENvtuber. Hi, ENvtuber. That's the one. Oh gosh. No, they did care about spirituality. No, but if you want to go like to the heart of traditions, you have to go back not a few hundred years. You have to go back a few thousand years for a lot of them. Like to where they originally started out. Like the Crusades are relatively modern. And they weren't really a tradition. I mean, they kind of became a tradition. I guess actually, yeah, that regard, you could actually look at the Crusades and say that what originally started out as one singular thing, effectively, or a couple of particular cases, ended up becoming a kind of barbaric tradition of war and attack. In Sweden, most see themselves as non-religious / having faith, but we still do things that for other cultures would seem very religious, like celebrating All Saints' Day. Just like Sweden being a Protestant country. Our traditions can actually be tracked down from my ancestors being hit by some sort of method of transport. I mean, it's true. Christmas originally comes from when Talan's Talan's great cousin's great cousin was originally hit by a cart, and they tried burying the evidence and planting a tree on top of it so no one would find it. And then every year they would decorate the tree. They wanted to go just to check no one found the body. And if they saw like any of the tree parts had brought up some sort of, you know, jewel or whatever, like one of the rock straps or something was suddenly attached to one of the branches, they'll just add decoration to it to make sure it, you know, it looks normal. But like that was meant to be the case. To not rouse suspicion. And that eventually turned into Christmas and Christmas trees. Easter also, my grand cousin was hit by Jesus carrying the cross. Oh gosh. He didn't even apologize. I thought winter solstice was around 20th to 21st. Nah, it's March 7th. We celebrate Lucia, which is our only saint we have. Was a girl in all white with candles in her hair. Walked outside singing on the darkest and coldest night, day 13th of December. Oh. That's interesting. Wouldn't winter solstice change depending on where you are in the world? Like what day it is exactly? Or am I being crazy thinking that? Oh gosh. I want to finish dry brushing this before the end. Oh gosh, that's just a big old chunk of white on the back of it there. Oh gosh, it's hard to get into the corners and areas on this. So on the 13th of each December, we eat Lucy Carter soft buns, listen to music and watch Lucy attack, march to the kids dressed up in white singing. Oh. We often thought that some old traditions and rituals were caused by old men in tribes millennia ago, convincing other people to listen to them and gain authority. Yeah, I imagine a lot of it is probably not even trying to gain authority. It's the same way that, like, today, it's often easier to tell someone, to lie to someone, than it is to get them to realise the truth. Like, in fact, how we teach kids today is, like, often when it comes to things like physics, biology and stuff, we're teaching them something that's completely wrong. But it's just close enough to the truth and simplified enough to get them to understand it. And I think, like, when you look at a lot of traditions, like, especially if you start looking at them, like what they look like when they first developed, there's an actual goal within them that's useful. Like harvest and stuff of, you know, gaining all your body weight, putting a bunch of weight on effectively and eating a lot of food. Because you can't really store food that well. It's very interesting, but then they become warped and changed, especially as they move over. Like, a lot of traditions started off in, like, warm countries and came to cold countries, and the traditions don't even make much sense. As a result, because they're designed for a tradition in a hot country. I think some of it's not just trying to gain authority, but trying to very much get people to do something good. If I remember correctly, Sweden is home to the most percentage of population of atheists. Oh. Generally, most of Europe is on the downward cycle of being religious. Especially Western Europe. Harvest festivals being a time of eating right before winter months makes perfect sense in a way I've never really considered. Yeah. And the same goes for, like, midwinter festivals, because you might be able to keep your food for a certain amount of time, but after a while it's also going to go off. So then you need to, once again, put your food where your mouth is. Traditions of having lots of kids make sense when there's a very high death rate. My food never goes off because I eat it all. That's basically the gist of it. Then you have, like, some rituals to do with trees come from the fact of certain trees are evolved so that they have animals that bite at the bark and break it. And they've evolved to basically exist with those animals. But once those animals are scared off by human settlements, those trees start dying because they've no longer got those animals effectively constant biting at them. Like they overproduce sap and stuff like that. And as a result, they kind of like explode or start dying. And it makes sense to, as a result, every so often go to the trees and scar marks into the trees, just so to let the sap seep out a little. Because ultimately that's what the trees want. Or evolved for, rather. And with human settlements being around, the animals that did that are gone. What was one of the big festivals? There was like a really big one. Not festival, but traditions. I knew what it was about. Midsummer is Finnish, a Swedish traditional celebrating good harvest as we make a rod with 2 circles to then dance around. Oh. Oh yeah, and coming of age festivals as well originate from time periods where when a person came of age, they effectively moved out and, you know, had to care for themselves. And like start their own families or whatever. And as a result, that's why you'd give like your kids so many gifts when they came of age. Because in large percentage of cases, it'll be probably the last time you see them again. And they need some way of starting out. But then it doesn't really make much sense when your kids are now 16 years old and they're going to be living with you for like another few years. And relying on you for another few years. I mean, some festivals are quite simplistic and easy to understand, because the reason for doing it never really changed until relatively recently. Others, though, the reason for doing it changed very early on. I say very early on, but like hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. Like, especially a lot of Abrahamic religious stuff originates from, well, the deserts, effectively. And then you look at, well, but a lot of the religious festivals also come directly from European religions. Because, well, they adopted a lot of those traditions. There we go. Avocado plants are like that. They evolved with giant sloths to spread their seeds. They only exist now because humans like avocados and took over the sloth after the sloths went extinct. Oh. In Sweden, we have a tradition at 3 o'clock every 24th of December. The day we celebrate Christmas, to watch Kalle Anka's Jewel, like old 60s Disney Christmas animation, ever since it first was played in Sweden, has been a tradition to watch it around Of Sweden's Swedish people sit down to watch it? Oh. There's a few Scottish traditions that are kind of big in America. I like that only other people I've heard like celebrate from are either in Scotland or in America. One of them is New Year's. Oh, I forget what they call it. There's a song that you sing. And you also have to go outside and bring in some bread. On New Year's Day. It's like meant to be good luck and stuff. But I'm not sure of why. Like bringing in bread for the new year. I think it like originates from some sort of you know, opening storage. Well, Scotland's more north than the rest of Britain, so winter starts a little bit earlier. Or at least growing season ends a little bit earlier, so maybe it's like opening your grain stores or whatever, your food stores for the period. Or checking in on them to make sure they're not being rotted out. That's where I imagine it comes from. Oh, the classic tradition of the dad having to go out to buy a newspaper and when it's gone, Santa appears, so he always misses it. Never heard that tradition before. Wait, how do you buy a newspaper on Christmas? Oh, the shops are shut. It's another Swedish thing. Oh gosh. I do like watching traditions and stuff, and like family traditions as well. Like there's a Lego YouTuber person, Master Builder Alec or something, was talking about Halloween. Was it a curry? Or something, Halloween something. But it's a meal that they have every Halloween. We have a tradition where my mother makes broccoli and cheese soup every Christmas. Very nice soup. I can't have it though because it makes me ill. That being said, everything on Christmas makes me ill because it's just such a stressful day. Okay, that's a bit too much, but whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of families that like have their own just traditions of like eating a meal on a certain day or whatever, and sometimes those can end up expanding into much bigger events. It's like this master builder Alec, he has this tradition of eating this thing every Halloween. He shared this on YouTube, which means other people might start doing the exact same tradition and sharing it with their friends. And then in a few years' time, everyone might have that tradition, or say everyone, a large percentage of people. But there we go. Oh gosh. The issue with these models is they're so big. Just doing even a simple job on them, like just base painting the metals, and then dry brushing the entire model takes a long time. Like, we spent 40 minutes just dry brushing the model. That being said, it is sometimes a bit hard to tell where the dry brushing actually was and where it wasn't, due to the main colour schemes being very similar to one another. The colours, sorry, not colour schemes. But don't forget to like the stream, by the way, if you haven't liked it already. There we go. Tomorrow we will be painting this guy even more. I might do some of the painting off stream. But once again, this is kind of the basic colour scheme I'm trying to go for with my arts. No, I'm just going to move that. There we go. Yeah. This is the colour scheme we're going for. If they're death skulls. That's from the older. So it's... I like the stream. Yeek! Thank you. But, oh gosh. I don't think he's too badly painted. It didn't take me too long to paint him, discounting spilling blue everywhere. It's kind of simple. But now we've done like the base, most of the base colouring. The rest of the model should hopefully come about pretty quickly. I'm going to have to figure out a good way of painting contrast paints really quickly. I'm working on my group kill team. Nice. Hi, sister still stands up. IRS. No, don't turn me into a cat as I'm ending the stream. But big hearts to you all. Oh my gosh. Look at all the white paint I've got on my fingers. And underneath here, I've got blue paint still on my fingers and under my nails. Oh. No. Casualties of a blue paint explosion. It got that platform at the front, like, looks like it could have a goth vodka. This one. Oh, do you mean this bit here? That's where my mech stands. There we go. Yeah, I mean, you could have a goth vodka there. It's meant to be the part where all the boys come out from. And they go and swarm ya. They go and swarm ya, they do. Also a way for me to say it doesn't have an hard case if I don't want it to have an hard case. It's like, look, this bit's really full open. Oh, back in the day, you could charge from a battle wagon when it's been moving. Actually, back then, if you had a vehicle, you couldn't charge from it. If you came out of it, you couldn't charge that turn whether it had moved or not, as far as I'm aware. But for two exceptions to this, vehicles that had a special rule, like the Land Raider, or vehicles that were open top, which basically is vehicles with firing decks now. Most vehicles with firing decks. Guardsman vehicles still have a firing deck on them. But that's just like inheritance of old rules. Oh god. But yeah, it's a big old thing. Well, thank you for coming to the stream today. I hope you had a good time. We'll be working on this more tomorrow and probably next week too. We'll also do more Rimworld next week and more Mechanicus. So thank you for coming to the stream. Big love hearts to you. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Remember to work hard but play harder. Take care of yourself and be kind to others and vice versa. Yeet. And also, eat good food. Sleep well. Dream of cupcakes, but don't eat the cupcakes, you silly biddies, because they're friends, not food. Goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye. Wee. Love you all. And don't forget to like the stream, you silly biddies.